You are given a graph of force versus time, but usually we study the graph of velocity, graph of acceleration, and you can see that force and acceleration are directly proportional to each other and mass remains constant. So the graph of force versus time is same as acceleration versus time. And now we have to analyze these four options. Option B, the speed time graph has constant gradient, straight line, constant gradient. If the gradient is constant, it means its acceleration is constant. And if acceleration is constant, then graph of acceleration of force will be a horizontal line, and it is not a horizontal line. The given graph is not a horizontal line. So option B is fail. Graph A has decreasing gradient. Decreasing gradient means acceleration decreasing, force decreasing, but it is not decreasing force. Option D, gradient increasing. Sir, if the gradient of speed versus time is increasing, it means acceleration is increasing. If acceleration is increasing, it means force is increasing. Yes, in this question, the graph force versus time, force is increasing. If the force is increasing, so the speed time graph will be option D. The graph, we should focus on the gradient of the graph. Your next question, question number 16. And in this question number 16, a constant force pushes a block on a horizontal frictionless surface and block moves from rest. If any object start from rest, then obviously its initial velocity is zero. So u is zero. And then you are given constant force. If the force is constant, then F is equal to ma, then A is equal to F upon M. And now you can see that 2 is a constant, force is a constant, there is a fixed distance, distance is a constant, then it means velocity is square is inversely proportional with mass if all the quantities remains constant. And if you take square root, then obviously velocity is inversely proportional with the square root of mass of object. In an open pipe, stationary waves are formed in this form, and the length of pipe is equals to distance between node to node, that is lambda by 2. That is lambda by 2. If there is one loop, then length is lambda by 2. If two loops, then it will be multiplied with 2. If three loops, it will be multiplied with 3. For n loops, length of pipe in open end pipe is equals to n lambda by 2. And n be any number, one loop, two loop, three loop, four loop, n is the number of loop. In this question, they are asking at which wavelength. It means you have to calculate wavelength. So if I make lambda as a subject, then it becomes 2L upon n, and you have to calculate lambda. So if you place length by 100 centimeter, and if you replace n with 1, then the answer is 200 centimeter, but it is not available in the given option. If you write n is equals to 2, then lambda becomes 100 centimeter. It is not available in the question. If you take n is equals to 3, then lambda becomes 66.66. It is not available in the question. But if you take n is equal to 4, it means you have to check from n is equal to 1, n is equal to 2, n is equal to 3. But when you take n is equals to 4, it means when there will be 4 loops, in this pipe, when there will be 4 loops, then you will find this condition, and the condition is lambda is equals to 2, length of pipe is 100 centimeter. If I take n is equal to 4, I have checked n equal to 1, n equal to 2, n equal to 3. All of them fail. If I take n is equal to 4, then lambda is 50 centimeter, and it is the option A. It is option A. In this question, you have to check n is equals to 1, n is equals to 2, n is equals to 3. Then n is equals to 4. It will be the answer because the other options are not given. Although other option will produce a standing wave, but they are not given. In young double slit experiment or in interference of light, we study the condition of path difference. For constructive interference, path difference should be equal to n lambda, and for destructive interference, path difference should be n plus half lambda. In general, we use this notation, but for this specific question, I am changing the notation and I am going to use m lambda or m plus half lambda. Sir, why? Because the value of m starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. If we are studying first fringe, then m is equals to 0. If we are studying second fringe, then m is equals to 1. If we are studying third fringe, then m is equals to 2. It means the value of m is equal to fringe number minus 1. Fringe number minus 1. So in this question you are given, you have to calculate nth dark fringe. Nth dark fringe. If we are studying nth dark fringe, then the value of m is equals to fringe number n minus 1. And for destructive interference, because it is a dark fringe, so path difference should be destructive interference, and destructive interference formula is m plus half lambda. And if you replace m with n minus 1 half from formula, then lambda, and then you simplify, then you will get this answer. Answer C, n minus half lambda. So in this question, you have to change the notation. Usually we use path difference n lambda, n plus half lambda, but for this specific question, you should take m lambda, m plus half lambda, and the fringe number minus 1 is equals to m. Then you can calculate this result. In the equation of EMF, E is equal to V plus IR, and in this question, V along y-axis, I along x-axis, so V is equals to R I plus E. And actually I'm trying to make this condition y is equal to m x plus c, and now you can see that along y-axis there is voltage, along x-axis there is current. So this y-intercept is EMF. Y-intercept is EMF. And now I'm going to start question. The question is, usually the EMF of cell remains constant, but if a cell is ending of its life, then its EMF decrease. Its EMF decrease. Sir, if EMF decrease, then obviously y-intercept will decrease. This dark line is the original cell, and when its EMF fallen, then their dotted line is shown its EMF and voltage. So dark line, which graph shows this, and line of original, sorry, line of original graph is dotted line, sorry, line of original graph is a dotted line, and we have to select dark line as the new cell or new battery line. Okay, so as it is given that EMF decrease, Sir, if EMF decrease, then the y-intercept of dark line should decrease. So it is available in option B and in option D. The y-intercept of dark line decrease. Sir, why? Because EMF decrease, so y-intercept of cell decrease in option B and D. And now, what about internal resistance? Sir, internal resistance is the gradient of line. And in this question, it is given that internal resistance increase. Sir, if internal resistance increase, it means its gradient will increase. Gradient will increase. Then in option B and D, you can see that the gradient in this option B, gradient, gradient internal resistance of cell increased. And in this option D, the gradient or internal resistance of cell decreased. So according to the question, internal resistance increased, so gradient must increase, and gradient in option B is increased. Gradient in option B is increased. So there are two main features. Number one, the EMF of cell decrease, so y-intercept of dark line is decreased. Number two, internal resistance of cell increase, so the gradient of dark line should increase. In this question, you are given a potential divider. Total voltage is 20 volt, and these two resistors are connected in series. So this 20 volt is shared or divided between L and M. If the L has 7 volt potential difference, then obviously this M will have 13-volt potential difference because it is shared between them. But in the question, it is given that 4-volt drop. If sir 4-volt drop means 13 minus 4, 13 minus 4, its voltage will be 9 volt. And as the total voltage is 20 volt, so 20 volt is shared between them. So 20 out of this 29 volt across Q, so the remaining 11 volt across P. So the answer is C, in which the M potential is 13, M potential is 13, P, sir, P potential is 11, and Q, sir, Q potential is 9. So its right answer is C. Thank you.